what is so special about being down here?
Well, one, for the continual investment is I believe in it. You got to believe in what you're doing, and I believe in Naples.
Welcome back to the Regenhard Report. Our special guest today is Chris Stuart, and owner-operator of JCS Investment Realty, right? Something like that?
Yeah, close enough. JCS Realty Group.
Yeah, I got close, right? So we're excited to have him on here. He's got a good perspective on what Naples is all about. He's in, obviously, the realty, real estate realm, but entrepreneur, business leader, restaurant owner. There's quite a bit in there, right? And so I'm excited to have you on from a different perspective, right? We've had some in, restaurants. We've had some different things. But you kind of have a few different, let's say, hands and what is it? The irons
in the fire.
Yeah, exactly. Got a few different ones. So welcome to the podcast, Chris.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate the opportunity to be here and look forward to it. It's my first podcast, so be gentle, please.
All right, deal. First podcast. Well, I will say this. I think our podcast is pretty relaxed, except for the intimidating, lights that are in your face right now and the cameras. But, we're just, like I always say, is these are honest, raw interviews with local entrepreneurs and people in our industry, and they're not scripted, right? You didn't get any questions, you didn't get any things. We have some talking points that we're going to discuss today, but it's the time to just kind of tell your story, and we're able to record it and bring it to life, and so other people can learn from you, me, different people that we have on this podcast. So
yeah, it's great. Love it.
We'll start out a little bit on who you are, Chris.
So I have been in Naples since 2002. Moved here from the West Coast and found my way here. I had interned here a summer several years prior to that. My dad was here. I knew I wanted to kind of lay my footing in a place where I had some family, and so I didn't have a ton of options. And I knew I had been to Naples, Florida, and in 2002, Naples was totally a different spot. It was an interesting place to come to as a younger person, and so the good news is I'm glad I came, and I'm even more thankful that I stayed here and was able to build a business and build a family and have a bunch of great friends, and it's a terrific town. I mean, I'm sure there's other great towns in the world to live, but this is a special little spot that we've got here.
I couldn't agree more. And so 20 plus years ago, 22 years ago, right? So just give us a little bit of understanding on how much this place has grown in the last 20 years.
Yeah, so I feel like one of the biggest growth areas that's happened, at least that I've seen, is the amount of younger people and younger families that have moved to the area. And so I think that's one of the things that I've really appreciated. And I don't know if it was post-COVID that it happened, but or maybe I just wasn't in that circle. But we just got a lot of great younger-ish, not that I'm so young anymore, but young-ish people and families that are living in Naples. So it's been a great evolution of the town, I think. Obviously, the town's busier, and people complain about traffic, and it takes them all of 15 minutes to go from one spot to another. But in reality, that's not a big deal in most other cities. We don't have other big city problems, so there's always good with the bad, but I think overall the amount of great new things we've got in Naples, besides the people side, we've obviously got amazing restaurants and some businesses here that are terrific that weren't here 20 plus years ago.
Yeah, what I've heard, because I wasn't here at that time, it has grown so much. And, you're not the first person. I've heard it plenty of times, how the younger generation has really come down and to embrace Naples as their home. And the thing that I've been hearing, and maybe I'm going to also kind of connect the dots a little bit, is I'd assume they've been coming down and visiting family and grandma and grandpa and all these things, and they finally realized after going back to wherever they were, why don't I go down there? And it's kind of like once some people take the step, then more and more. And that's what I feel like right now.
For sure. It was a tipping point for sure. And,
it was.
One of the funny expressions I like is people say, well, I'm going to retire in Naples. Be like, well, why wait? So we all moved to a retirement paradise and we're grinding it out. There's a ton of business opportunities. There's a great social life. It really is kind of what you want to make it. Choose your own adventure.
And the thing is, we're in such a great spot in so many ways. And again, we're going to be biased because we live here, right? But we have the ability, if you really want to, you can fly anywhere out of Miami. I said Minneapolis almost because I'm from Wisconsin. Yeah. We used to do that, fly out of Minneapolis. But fly out of Miami, right? So it's, a couple hours and you literally can fly anywhere, right? Yeah. Or you can go to Miami to get the busy life, all the crazy malls and whatever you want, right? The kind of hustle bustle kind of thing. Then you come back here and it's just paradise, right?
That is the one downside I can think of for living down here is the flying out of RSW and just having to stop every place you go.
Yeah.
Again, 99% of everything else down here is terrific, but that's the one piece that is a little challenging. But again, if you want to get somewhere, zip over to Miami and Lauderdale or Tampa, and you can get anywhere in the world.
And I grew up in a town outside of Minneapolis area, right, in Wisconsin. And so it was about a 45 minutes, almost an hour drive to the airport anyways. So for another 45 minutes, I'm at Fort Lauderdale, right, or whatever. So it's like, it really is not that bad.
No, it's not. And once you do it a few times, it's like anything. You get, you can get accustomed to anything.
Exactly. And so, one of the comments I want to make, because you said it, and I want to reiterate, Naples has so much opportunity, and I've said this on a podcast before, and I'm going to say it again, because it doesn't matter if it's Naples or it's whatever. Do think about if you are an entrepreneur, right? You're thinking about a business, or you're thinking about just, trying to get successful as a younger person, older person, whatever, right? You should always do your research. You should always look into your competition, different things like that. Well, when you look at it from that perspective here in Naples, we have a lot of people that are older. They're not working.
No.
They are not competing for any of the market share that you're competing for, right? All they're doing is supporting our economy. They're going to the restaurants. They're buying the real estate. They're buying the insurance. They're buying the cars. They're supporting. They're not taking anything. They've already made their money.
Yeah, there's a lot of gaps to fill on the opportunity side for sure.
And so I joke with a lot of my friends that are that will make a comment to me that live in other places, and they're like, yeah, but isn't it just a bunch of old people? I'm like, that's fine. There's in your area of, whatever, I don't know, Austin, Texas, right? I lived in San Antonio for a while. Austin, Texas is flooded with young entrepreneurs. They're all trying to fight for the same thing.
Everyone's trying to hustle for that same piece of the pie.
Exactly. Why not go to somewhere there's no one around and it's a big pie?
Yeah.
That's Naples.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think there's as much opportunity as you want to make it.
It really is. So you've been investing, right, in the Naples area from a real estate standpoint, residential and commercial, right?
Really, just commercial. I mean, residential from a home ownership perspective,
right?
But from a business perspective, really solely focused on anything non-residential, so gotcha. commercial side of it.
When did you first get into that commercial side?
So it was interesting. I worked for a very reputable construction company when I had first moved down here. I was with them about a year, and one of our Sunday dinners at my dad's house, I said, I'm gonna go off on my own and I'm going to give notice and do something. And I didn't really know exactly what it was. I knew. So the first thing I did when I got to Naples was before I even started my job, is I went and got my real estate license. So I'd always, had a passion for it. My father had always been in some sort of real estate development, construction sort of thing. So I kind of grew up around it a little bit. I always loved construction. I went to school for construction management. And so, I just always had that passion for it. And so a year after working for the construction company locally here, I said, yeah, I'm just going to venture out on my own. And my dad said, well, do you think about us trying to do something together? Maybe we I don't know, start a little company of our own, and we'll give it 3 years, and then see where it goes. And so this year we hit our 20-year anniversary.
Awesome.
We surpassed the 3, and it's been terrific. So we've really focused on a wide variety of different projects over the years. Again, non-residential. One of the first projects we did was a hotel, a restaurant, and a marina down at Port of the Islands, which 20 years ago, probably 20 years, maybe 18 years ago, nobody had ever heard of. And so it's still tough to get people down there today, but it was definitely a learning project for sure. And
Gotta have those.
Definitely got to have those. It definitely wasn't a moneymaker, but it was an intellectual making project.
You made money from it, but later on projects because you didn't make the same mistakes.
For sure.
Well, kudos to you, because obviously most businesses fail, right? Most businesses, unfortunately, that's the raw and honest truth. Most people fail when they try to go out on their own. So huge congratulations. 20 years is awesome, man.
Nice.
So you've done a lot of commercial, opportunities over the years, right? Is your dad still pretty involved in it, or is he now mostly kind of out of it and you run the show?
He's definitely not as involved anymore. Our joke is he does 10% of the work and takes 90% of the credit, but
he deserves it, right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I wouldn't be here without him, and so we've had a good time. So we still coordinate a lot on all the things that we're doing, but definitely it's nice to be able to provide him things without him having to be on the day-to-day and
awesome.
and in the trenches.
That's amazing. So give me up to speed, and the listeners up to speed on what you got currently going on.
So let's see. So currently we own 7 properties in town, all commercial properties, ranging from over on the East Trail to just north of the Coastland Mall. 1, 2, 3, 4 of them within the city of Naples. It's been great. Good run. And one of them is on Fifth Avenue. It's Chops is on one side of the building. Engels and Volker Real Estate is on the other, and they are their support offices or just offices on the second floor. Project I've worked on actually this month is 4 years I've been working on it, and we haven't moved a brick yet, but it's a rooftop restaurant
That's
going to be called Prime Social Reserve, and it's basically building an entire third floor on top of an existing 2-story building. So that's been a very intense, difficult, stressful, time-consuming project. Hopefully have that open in sometime in the end of 2025.
Oh, that's going to be amazing. So give like someone that's in Naples and doesn't understand what's about to come here, give them like a context to it, because you did show me a few kind of prelim of some images and whatnot, and it looks immaculate.
Yeah, it's going to be a terrific restaurant. It's about 7,400 square feet. It's going to be a Cameron Mitchell restaurant. Those guys are next level operators. They own Ocean Prime and Del Mar locally here, and they've got a bunch of other restaurants around the country. And it's going to be not only elevated above Fifth, but it will be an elevated dining reservation only.
Put in a pun, right?
Like that.
Nice pun.
Elevated. Reservation only dining experience. So it'll be something that's not been found yet on Fifth Avenue or in Southwest Florida.
How do you get to it?
We're building a whole new elevator, so you'll have
cool.
a dedicated elevator from the first floor all the way up to the new third floor.
That's gonna be so cool.
Yeah, it's gonna be great.
You said end of 25?
Yes.
Projected.
Yeah. So it will have been 5.5 years of work before it finishes. So it's not for everyone.
No. So you have that one in the works, but you've recently completed in something that a lot of people have been talking about is the kitchen, right? District area, all that kind of stuff. So talk to us about those.
Yeah, so that's been a great project. So November of 2013, November of 2011. The world was still reeling from the Great Recession. This particular property at Central and Goodlit, First Avenue and 12th Street, it's a full city block, ended up going back to the bank. And I had a great relationship with a real estate broker in town. And we had talked about it and decided to make a move on purchasing it. And so fortunately, we were able to acquire that property in 2011. We had built there was an automotive facility that was on site, tore that down, built about a 4,500 square foot building on that location. The bowl is on the corner of it, so there's a giant 12-foot pink flamingo that graces the side of Central Avenue, and right behind that is the bowl, and then behind that is several other tenants, and then the main larger building on site houses Ferguson kitchen and bath and lighting, and then there was a couple little spaces within that building, and so I was down in the Keys spending some time, and the Keys has a very unique, laid-back atmosphere. It's a lot of outdoors, good food, good drinks, and I was sitting at this one restaurant in Isla Mirada, and obviously having some food and some cocktails, having a good time, and just thinking, man, boy, would be great to have something like this. Obviously not the exact thing, but something similar to what they've got in the Keys. And so it just kind of stuck with me. And as I worked on that project there was a driveway and some parking spaces that always kind of bugged me. The configuration of the parking lot didn't work, and it was always congested, and it was always adjacent to the properties, kind of internal to the existing structures, and I don't know, it just always felt like it needed something better than that. And so started working on some plans, and again, I'm probably 4.5 years into that one, which
so more of the stories, they don't happen overnight.
It's definitely not an overnight thing. And so so we came up with this concept and started executing on it, and was introduced to a gentleman by the name of Marty Kenny, who I had known just kind of socially, and somebody had introduced me to him that he was looking to do some sort of a restaurant concept. And so we had started talking, and we had probably planned for, we went back and forth probably 6 months or so, and just couldn't quite get where we needed to go with the city on the entitlements. And we spent a ton of time on refitting the site and trying to come up with something that could work, that could fit within the confines of what the code allowed. We were going to originally do food trucks there. We were going to have 2 food trucks, and the restaurant structure where the covered dining area and bar was going to be was always kind of generally in the same spot, but we weren't going to do a full kitchen, and so we were going to do food trucks. Just Celebration. Yeah. I think Celebration had just kind of opened, and I had traveled and seen some other food truck parks around the country, and I'm like, man, that's just fun. And so I think people gravitate towards something that's fun and different, and right. That's again back to our conversation of opportunity. There's a lot of opportunity for things in Naples that aren't here, and I think what we've got there today is that. And so the city came back to us and said, you can't do a food truck. You can't serve liquor if you don't have a kitchen. And I said, well, I've got 2 food trucks. And they said, well, what if the food truck leaves? I was like, well,
put another one in. Yeah.
I said, it's the same situation. What if your stove breaks in your kitchen? Well, you're still a kitchen. Yeah. You're still operating. You're still going to put out food. And so at one point, I was so frustrated with the whole process, I shelved the whole project. And I kind of said, you know what? It's just not meant to be, and live to fight another day. And it ended up just kind of resurfacing in my mind, and it was just too great of a project. So I dusted it off, contacted Marty again, and Marty had a friend of his that had contacted him about wanting to do a restaurant, which is Christopher Lee. And so the 3 of us sat down, had a meeting to see, hey, do we all vibe? Do we, do we like each other? Right. Do we hate each other? And, we all felt a moment there in the room. And we're like, there's some synergies here. There's some dynamics, and so we started meeting once a week, every week, on trying to plan the deal and how we were going to get past the city hurdles, and ultimately we ended up building a full-blown kitchen, which so the joke is we've called it the kitchen. So in case the city comes along and says, well, where's your kitchen? Say, well, it's called the kitchen. So it's our little bit of a joke back to that situation. And so again, we worked for another year or so. In the midst of doing that, Hurricane Ian came and flooded that area. Two of the existing tenants in the building where the bowl was located got flooded out and weren't going to rebuild. And we always kind of joked back and forth that if those spaces, or when those spaces come available, we wanted to do a concept there. And so the storm came, and the tenants weren't going to reopen. So we huddled up and said, well,
time is
if we don't do it now, I mean, not that we want to spend any more money, because we were fully committed and dialed in on the main project called the Kitchen and Minibar. So that was already in motion. And so we're like, well, we got to take advantage of it. And so we started the plans on District, and then we started the plans on the alley. And District ended up opening in August, so it's a smaller concept, not as much involved. Great concept. And so
for people that don't know, very, very interesting. You got to go experience it for yourself. Drinks are wonderful, like small but intimate vibe, colorful,
edgy,
very, and it's different.
It's different. We again, everything we were doing there, we wanted it to be different.
Yeah.
We wanted to be non-traditional. You go to the bathroom and it says, please don't, there's a big neon sign that says, please don't do drugs in the bathroom. I mean, it's, it's just funny. And it's edgy.
But think about that from a marketing standpoint. How many people take a picture of that and post?
That's the world we live in these days, right?
And then everyone's like, where is that? You're not in Naples. And it's like, yep, it is, right? It's like, it's just a funny neon sign. And I guarantee the amount of exposure that the District has gotten from it is exponential.
Yeah. Yeah. And so,
all right, but also too, let's talk about what you guys put on your espresso martinis too, right?
Oh yeah,
those are pretty funny too.
They are. They're good. So we've got a couple different ones, but there is what's our latest one? I'm trying to remember.
I think it's sexy.
Sexy.
I think sexy bitch is one of them.
Yeah, definitely. And there's definitely some inappropriate references on
How about this? We're not supposed to air those on here, so go check out District or Espresso Martini.
Yeah, and so
but they're fun. They're exciting.
Fun.
Different.
People enjoy them, and so that concept we rolled out a culinary side that was a smaller bites, and it was, all the food was terrific. We just weren't getting the traction that we wanted, so we decided to pivot. And so that's the cool thing about being a small business owner, entrepreneur, and the three of us sat down and we're like, it's just not quite, it's not hitting the mark on where we want to go with it. So what did we do? We changed the menu, and so now we're going full sushi on our culinary side in there, and it's been really well received.
Love it.
And so it's fun.
I haven't tried the sushi side of things
yet. You have to try.
We went the other night. I was celebrating a birthday, and it was after dinner, so I was already full. But I want to try it. I'm ready.
You'll have to get in there and try it.
Did you do any crispy rice ones?
No, I haven't got the crispy rice. That's on my list.
We need that one. That one. You're gonna text me when it's in. All right.
I actually texted the guys the other day. I'm like, hey, how's the crispy rice coming along? And because they know I'm wanting it on the menu.
It's the best.
Yeah, it's so good, so good. So so the whole project came around, and we rebranded it Central Square. So the whole project, Central Square, has Ferguson kitchen and bath lighting. It's got
everything kitchen.
My shower door.
Ferguson kitchen.
We got kitchens and kitchens. My shower door. We've got the bowl. We've got Yacht Club subs.
Oh, so good too. Yeah,
they're terrific. Yeah, good operation. Great subs. And then we've got the ones that we own and operate, which is the Kitchen and Minibar, District, and the Alley.
Yeah. Talk about the alley.
Yes.
Has anyone been to the alley yet?
We store things in the alley. I call it the most expensive storage unit in town.
Yeah. So you have a little bit of pushback on that one, right? You haven't opened that one yet, right?
We have not opened that yet. So we've obviously had years and years of planning all the restaurants, and somehow in the midst of the drawings and millions of dollars being spent, there was about $2,000 in plumbing and electric that didn't get on the plans for the indoor dining room that's called the alley. And so we moved forward, and district was already open. We opened the kitchen and the mini bar, and then opened the alley. Come to find out that we had not gotten that on the plans. And so the city came in and shut us down. And so we've been in the process of trying to work with them on opening the alley up the last several months. We've had a difference of opinion on many things with the indoor dining room there, the alley, but I think by the end of the year we should have it hopefully brought to a resolution. But it's going to be great. Had you been in it?
Yeah,
Okay.
I checked it out. You checked it out a little bit.
Yeah, it's pretty unique. I think that one is my favorite of all of them. I mean, I guess it's like trying to pick which is your favorite kid.
Yeah.
But the alley's definitely something unique. It's just total transformation into, a New York City alley. It's dark and it's again edgy. It's different. Nobody's got it. Nobody's got anything like it in town.
And I think that's what really has sparked the talk of the town, right? If it's the kitchen, if it's district, if whatever, it's different, right? Mm-hmm. And that's where I love Naples and I love everything about it. Don't get me wrong, but there is enough Italian joints in town.
Sure.
There's enough steakhouses, right? So you're giving that perspective. Like when you're feeling like you want something different, you can go there, right? You can go over there for a drink or a cocktail or something like that, and you can experience what you probably would have had to kind of go across the alley, for sure, unintended, or to Miami to get before, right? Yeah. So now it just gives a really good perspective.
Yeah, I mean, it's neat. So you could get dropped off through an Uber or park there and then experience really 4 different dining venues. One of them that we forgot to mention inside district is staff only, which is the Speakeasy. And again, I know there are supposedly some speakeasies in Naples, but ours is truly a speakeasy. And so, again, something different, something unique. The attention to detail on all the decor and the glasses and the menu and the lighting and all the things that make up the space. That every one of them, they all have a unique characteristic, and they are all different, and they all bring their own vibe. And so, park once and have 4 different experiences.
It's just so neat. Like you said, you can park and you can have the different kind of venues and different feel all in one spot. And like I said earlier, it's different than any part of Naples. So a question for you, because you've invested a lot of time, energy, money, it is your life, is here in Naples. And my question is, why do you continue to invest in Naples, and why should other people, if they're outside of Naples, continue to look at Naples as either a place to be to live, or a place to invest? Like, what is so special about being down here? Yeah,
I mean, well, one, for the continual investment is I believe in it. You got to believe in what you're doing, and I believe in the projects. I believe in Naples. I mean, we talked about it in the beginning that there's just so many different special things that makes Naples, Florida, an incredible place to live. And we're not making any more land, so there's a finite amount of property and land that's especially within the city of Naples proper.
Right.
Obviously, Collier County as a whole is a larger area, but there's also by land mass is huge, but by development mass there's a certain amount. So I think as far as Naples goes, it's just a terrific spot. I think there's going to be people that are going to continue to move here. So if you have population growth, you've got the opportunity to increase business revenue, make investments better. And so I think more and more people are realizing what Naples has to offer, and they're trying to get a piece of the paradise.
Yeah, how this is still, even though it's not hidden, but it's still a hidden gem. You know, it's not like the other places. So, Chris, I really couldn't agree with you more. I really couldn't. I didn't have even the hopes. Like I just like had no clue what Naples was about, except for the fact that my parents thought it was really cool.
Yeah.
And then being down here and now where I'm at today, I'm like, where else would I want to live? And there's places I'd like to go and travel, but actually live and call home base. I can't think of other places. So.
I agree. That's one of my favorite things is travel all over the country and the world, and then you come back to this spot. You're like, man, even the landscape medians. You come back to town, you're like, even the medians are better than other places.
It's bad when you go on vacation and you're excited to go home,
right? Yeah.
Or it's good.
It's
right?
good. It's
Means
good.
We live in paradise.
For sure.
Chris, absolute pleasure having you on the podcast today. Appreciate you sharing your story, and obviously you're a successful entrepreneur, and people definitely took some things away from you today. If they do have questions about opportunities here in Naples and whatnot, they can reach out to you on your website, different things like that. And I know you're busy, got a lot going on, so I just want to thank you for sharing for spending some of your time and sharing some thoughts with our audience.
Happy to do it. It's a pleasure to be here. I really appreciate the opportunity.
Good stuff.
Thanks.
All right. Well, thank you guys. We'll see you guys in the next episode of the Regenhard Report.
See ya.